it's Mark here again, hoping everyone had a happy holidays and are now ready for a new year full of great improvement to your golf games, lower scores, and more fun on the golf course. After a short hiatus, I am back, and for our first video of 2019, we're going to begin diving into the full swing by looking at our 5 pre-shot fundamentals of grip and how our hands relate to the club face, stance in terms of the width that our feet are at, address, plus the orientation of our feet relative to our target line, our posture, or how we mold our body to hitting something on the ground. Also, we'll be looking at ball position relative to the center of our stance. Is the ball back or is the golf ball forward, depending on what shot we're playing? And finally, alignment, how we aim this machine relative to the target, so when we make our swing, we get the golf ball started on the correct line. Now, to begin with, we're going to be looking at the first 3 aspects of our pre-shot fundamentals. We'll come back to ball position and alignment at a later date, even though we might touch on them briefly as we discuss grip, stance, and posture. Now, I do want to step up on my soapbox here just for a second and let every single one of you know that you have the ability to have really good, solid pre-shot fundamentals. And it's critical for us to be in the proper position at address for us to really have a good golf swing. If you want to have a good golf swing, we got to have good pre-shot fundamentals. Again, a lot of our issues with our golf swing stem from inconsistencies in our setup that create needs to make adjustments on the fly. And this golf swing happens too fast for us to be able to juggle all those changes while in motion. So again, at address, non-moving positions, every single one of you should be able to get into the proper spots. We don't need a lot of coordination or athleticism to do that. So pay close attention to what we're going to discuss today, and we're going to be in a perfect position to begin our golf swings as we continue to pick up topics moving forward. So I'm going to get off my soapbox now, and without further delay, go ahead and grab a club and a glove if you wear one, and let's get to work. So to begin with, we're going to do these things a little bit out of order. I presented it as grip, stance, and posture. I want to take care of our body first, and then we're going to come back to the grip once we have our arm hang in the right position, and it'll make sense when we get there. So the first thing we're going to look at is our stance, and this is more of a face-on point of view here. And what we're looking at is the width that your feet are in relation to the center of your stance. So typically what we're looking for an athletic motion is roughly shoulder width apart. If I drew a line from the center of my shoulders, it should fall kind of in the middle of your feet. If we're going to err either direction, slightly narrower or slightly wider is okay, but we do want to avoid getting too narrow. As we get really narrow, we get a little top heavy, and we have a potential of losing our balance. And as soon as we're in a compromised position, it's very difficult to be athletic and move with freedom. Same would be for if we get too wide. Now, I've never seen anybody in this position, but just to kind of walk this message all the way through to the extremes, if I get too wide, as my legs splay out, my hip joints get a little bit too tense and under pressure from the width, and that really does restrict how much my hips move. And when we're looking at a golf swing, this is an athletic motion that my body rotates and moves. My feet need to be underneath me to not only support me and balance me, but also to be able to use the ground to create extra energy and power. So we got to get our body in the right position. So again, shoulder width position. Now I should back up and just say that what we're looking at today is going to be for your typical ball on the fairway iron shot. Okay, we're going to take full swing, long irons, hybrids, fairway woods, and driver. We're going to take those out of the equation. We're going to come back to those at another time, and then also we're going to take the short game shots, chipping and pitching out. So basically we're looking at a situation for 6 iron down to your shortest club, full swing. So if we did just touch briefly on ball position, I'm going to have the golf ball sitting in the center of my stance with the edge of the golf ball that I would contact first being lined up to the middle. From there, we're going to see an even amount of me distributed to the right and the left of that at shoulder width apart, slightly narrower, slightly wider, that's okay. Now based on this T intersection I have, So we got this to help us see the center of our stance. This one is going to give us a brief sort of alignment point of view. So when we're looking at, once we've got our stance in place, the next part is how we relate to the target line. And we also refer to this as our address position. So if you thought about the ball as being a person that you're having a conversation with, you'd want to walk up to them and face them, not shy away and turn in one direction or the other. Now again, if we've had any sort of physical injuries or developmental problems, we may have some twist and turn, but ideally we're going to try to address the golf ball with our shoulders, hips, and knees square to that line, essentially perpendicular to the center of my stance. Okay, so from that position, we're going to also take a look at our arms. Okay, so with our feet shoulder width apart and our toes basically square to that line, we're going to look at our arms for a second. I want you to stick your arms out in front of you, bring them into your palms touching, and then let them fall so that your arms are resting on your chest, on top of your chest, okay? Your elbows are going to be pretty close together. Now, for some of us that may have a bigger or wider chest, we want to do the best that we can to get our arms on top of our chest and close together. So we might have to do a little bit of squeezing, a little bit of adjustment, okay? What I want to avoid is having our elbows at our side. The further our elbows are apart, the shorter our arms are, we're going to have some issues. So ideally, arms out in front of you, let them fall and hang on your chest. They're going to hang down in front of us, okay? From this position now, again, we're going to touch on grip later, but when you take your grip as a right-handed person, my right hand is below my left. And in doing that, it's going to create a natural response in a tilt to my right hand being below. So there's sort of a cascading event all the way down. All my right side body parts relative to the left side are going to be tilted or lower. So with my right hand lower than my left, I'm going to see a tilt in my spine. My hips will actually be shifted forward maybe an inch to accommodate that tilt. But we're going to see right hand lower than left, right shoulder lower than left, right hip lower than left, right knee lower than left. And that is okay. That is our natural response to our right hand being below. I don't want you to be leaned over this way to try to even it out, okay? It's going to be some issues with our balance. So we need to mold ourselves to our grip. Lefties, you're going to be opposite of that, okay? So address position, we face the ball, shoulder width apart with our feet. Once we take our grip with our arms out on top of our chest, which is going to give us more mobility and longer arms. Longer arms can go faster than shorter arms. We're going to see ourselves with this slightly tilted position throughout our body based on right hand being lower than left. With that in place, we're ready to look at our posture.